So John, you've had an interesting background. Share a little bit about yourself.
I work with distressed companies, and when I got involved with Sema, it qualified as a distressed company, very much so. And so it was in a little bit of financial strife. It actually went into administration, and we took it out of administration and been able to build it back up over the last 2 years now. And things are hanging in there, and we're going quite well.
So John, some of the challenges that you faced, because you did have a few.
Well, we've got the technology right. We've got the products right and the product set right. Our challenges are in and around telling the marketplace that we're back, that we're capable of doing some pretty professional work, and that translates into our ability to sell.
Kind of ironic, John, when you think about all the capability that's in this place, because there really is a fair amount of horsepower in Sema.
Sema's really an IT company. We're very, very smart in and around the use of data, in and around cleaning and capturing that data, in and around the digital technologies, including the big printers, in and around email, SMS, and now mobile. So we're really quite capable right across that messaging spectrum, and different to most, in that we can do it from the physical right through to the electronic.
So John, how do you see the future, not just of Sema, but of the industry, because it's going through an awful lot of change?
A lot of change, and very tough, and I don't think Australia's big corporates quite understand what's possible or the effect of what's happening. There's a constant push down on prices that's harder to sustain, or can't really be sustained given the drop in volumes in print. The printing's getting far more complex. You can personalise things. The variability you can get is significantly more, but the expectation is that it's going to be cheaper, and that's really not going to work in the long run for a lot of companies.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that's really changed over the last couple of months has been the change of focus away from technology for technology's sake, and more about using technology to solve business problems. How have you seen that?
Solving a problem for someone is now exactly how we do it. So showing people our bright, shiny new things was not working. Nearly all of our clients do have a problem in and around customer data, accessing that data and then turning that data into useful messaging, then getting back what the result of that messaging is. And by us concentrating on the problems, getting people to understand the problems they've got, then it actually makes us easier to sell in a solution to the problem.
So John, of course, the specific challenges that we started talking about are around your marketing and sales. Want to share with us what those look like for you?
Well, it's reputation because of the financial difficulties the customer had. It's the marketplace because a lot of our competitors are feeling the pressure and they're responding with price changes and reductions. And then I suppose it's technology, because the technology continues to change at a rapid rate, and it's hard to get clear air, it's hard to get a breath because of the change that's happening in the background. So that makes it a very challenging environment across the board.
So John, when you took over, you had quite a few challenges and not a lot of time to deal with them in. Must have been tempting to bring in one of the big four or one of the mainstream consulting shops. Why didn't you?
Been there, done that a little bit, and I find I'm a little bit old and cranky now to work with organisations that are too heavily tiered, if you like, whereby you start off with a partner, but you actually end up with somebody who's 2 or 3 down the rung and learning their trade, who rely much too much on a spreadsheet and what a spreadsheet tells them, and can't call on enough grey hair to actually give you the answer you need in the timeframes you've got.
And ultimately, I guess, what got you comfortable about RPMG?
I think overall it's the method and the structure and the attention to detail in behind what we're doing that is of attraction to me. I get it that if we have more conversations, if we see more people, if we put out more proposals, then we will grow our sales. And if we can put processes in place that cause those conversations to happen at a more intelligent level, selling a solution to a problem, or recognising a problem and then selling to that problem, that's a much better way for us to go. And you blokes were the only ones who were presenting that sort of thing to us.
So John, it's kind of ironic given the whole focus that we've had on lead generation and lead nurturing, that here you've got such world-class capability in that kind of stuff, and now we're kind of turning it on yourself.
We think we've got the best physical marketing delivery engine in Australia. We can do it from the big digital printers, we can use the Exact Target platform, we can use the Eagle Eye mobile platform, We're fiddling with personalised videos. The lead generation activities we can do better, we think, than just about anybody else in Australia. And so we're turning that engine onto ourselves with the help of UpMG.
So John, the first step was the diagnostic, which was a fairly brutal assessment of the situation around the company. What were your thoughts on that?
It was an interesting exercise. I didn't accept entirely what came back from the diagnostic because a lot of our sales guys had been given some training and had been asked to do certain things. And they came back with answers in the diagnostic that said none of this had happened. But once we'd sorted through that, once we started to see where they were missing the message that I thought I was delivering, then the diagnostic became quite a useful tool to give us a base going forward on.
Then we moved on to the blueprint and the revenue school, which I think it's fair to say was where quite a few lights started coming on for a few people. What were your thoughts on the Rev School and the outcomes from that?
The most important thing is recognising the customer's problem and then selling to that to the problem. The concept of rational drowning, the concept of the buyer's journey, and having our sales guys understand that they've got to sell to people who at some point are ready to buy. Now they have to create that, start that journey, but they're going to get their best sales from people who are in a position to buy, both in terms of the need they've got, the problem they want solved, and the finances they ultimately have available. So a lot of that came out of the revenue school and then went into the blueprint.
John, during a revenue school, one of the real lights on moment, I think for most people, was this whole concept about rational drowning and causing people pain in order to get them to buy. This whole concept around not talking about yourself and talking about the customer's problem. Your thoughts on that and your experiences since revenue school?
For me not to talk about myself is difficult. For me to be quiet and listen is difficult. But we're getting there with those sorts of things. And most definitely, if you inquire into the client, if you find out what their issues are, we then don't say we can solve your issue. What we say is over here we solve that issue for this person or for this competitor or for this large company. And we are getting the lights coming on that say maybe you can solve our problem. At which stage I suppose we start to sell in a more traditional sense. But we wait for them to come to a conclusion that maybe Sema can solve our problem. And it has been a learning curve, but it works.
So John, as you know, the concepts aren't that difficult to understand, but now we're a couple of months down the road from implementation of the blueprint, and it's the time where people's behaviours need to change, and we're seeing how difficult that is. Do you want to just give us a few comments on that?
I've been a little bit evangelical on it. I'm born again, if you like, as to it. And so some of them aren't necessarily enjoying the experience because I won't have conversations about what we can show a potential customer. I'll only have conversations about the problem that they think the customer's got that we can eventually solve. They're starting to get it, but we still need a lot of discipline around it, a lot of messaging to go out.
So John, you and I are both reformed chartered accountants, and we come from a world of numbers and process. Be interested in your thoughts on the translation of concepts that are, to us, stuff that we've lived a long time with, and bringing that across into the world of marketing and sales, where it's, it's actually quite new.
Numbers are my game, and I'm actually, reasonably good with numbers. So the process that we're talking about now makes sense. It's about putting more people into the top of the funnel. It's about having more intelligent conversations with those people. It's about assessing the information that comes back and then moving people through a process. It's about not dropping people because they're not ready to buy at this point in time and putting them back into the top of the funnel and eventually building the marketplace we've got, people who know us in the marketplace and the reputation that we've got to be able to do the work that we claim to be able to do.
So John, just finally, any regrets? Anything you would have done differently if you had your time again?
We're early in the process. I'd like to have started it 3 months ago, and that I could factor more numbers into it. It's budget time at the moment. I would have liked another 3 months under my belt so that I could factor in more results going forward into this next financial year. But the activity levels are up. The stories that are coming back are better. The proposals are starting to go up. So we expect to see the sales following in the next 3 to 6 months.
Thanks, John.